trying to please these others and things like that. And yeah, yeah. So I guess while I'm mixing, I guess I'll just talk about random stuff. So yeah, in the past, I would always show up for everyone else, but I wouldn't show up for myself. You know, everything I did, like I would go out my way, just try and do things for other people, try and sacrifice my life, try and make other people happy. But at the end of the day, I believe I just lost a big sense of myself and my identity. It was just something that was kind of crossing my mind earlier. Because in my mind, what I was thinking is that I remember myself overall just being a very optimistic person, you know, especially when I first started working. I used to be very optimistic to the point where I'm like, all I gotta do is keep a smile on my face and I'll feel happy, you know? That's always been my technique and strategy before. But throughout the years, I lost that. I became a lot more pessimistic per se, just a lot more distrusting of people, started isolating myself more, and just started seeking more external validation instead of just doing things I felt right and true to myself and to my heart. And van life is teaching me all that again, just to be a lot more happier with myself. I'm learning to be a lot more optimistic about things in life, and learning to just live life with much more intent and meaning, and most importantly, just living life slowly in a world where everything's going so fast with, especially with AI right now. It's like you can practically learn and get any information off the AI, you know? And with the life of social media and the internet, it's like everything's just going so fast. Especially living in Southern California, life goes by so fast. Like restaurants are opening and closing probably within the same year and things like that, you know? So it's no better time to learn to live life slowly. So that's something that van life's been teaching me, is that I need to be slowing down instead of always just rushing to do things, always having to feel like I have to be growing and doing something every single day in order to be efficient, you know? But I'm just taking life one day at a time now, one moment at a time now, one breath at a time now. And then it's just making me much happier. And the side effect of that is that I'm slowly finding myself again, loving myself again. Finally, for the first time in my life, I'm, I'm showing up for myself instead of for others. In the past, I would always go to these family parties, these family functions, just to play my role as the lowest person in the family, the dumbest one in the family, just to make them happy, I guess, you know? But why do I have to keep putting myself in those dynamics? Why do I have to keep showing up to things that I don't want? Because at the end of the day, that's very selfish in me too, you know? And what I mean by that is that I would show up to these family functions, an event, and I would start resenting the people that I'm showing up for. And to me, that's selfish. I'm showing up, and then just to resent the people that I'm supposedly supposed to be there for. To me, that's extremely counterintuitive and quite frankly stupid. So I'm just learning to show up because I want to, because it feels right for me. And like, I'm learning to set much clearer and stronger boundaries with the people around me, especially with family. I'm not gonna let people disrespect me or look little of me. If y'all want to do that, then yo, I got better places to be at, you know? Why do I have to keep showing up to these functions if people don't appreciate it? I should learn, and I am learning to value my time more. Instead, in the past, I would just give my time and my life so freely to people who didn't even give a darn about it. I'm trying to keep it PG. I'm not trying to, use my French, with the F bombs and all that stuff. And yeah, and flipping back to this, yo, that looks like scrambled eggs, all right. And I think we can probably turn off the heat now and just mix it up a little bit more, just to make sure it doesn't get stuck to the bottom. And we're probably gonna have to or we might just ziplock this today, you know. It should be okay too. Once it fully cools down, we'll just ziplock it. I know plastic, microplastic, all that good stuff, but hey, maybe just for today, just for this week, we'll just use a ziplock bag for this baby, you know. And we got scram. Man, that smells good. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We're just gonna keep mixing that up, and yeah. Well, we're talking about how I'm just finally just showing up for myself and just be happier with that. Because in my family, like, they made it clear where I fall within the totem of things. In the family of five, I have an older brother, I have a younger sister, and obviously my mom and dad. And and they made it clear where I fall in it, and that's at the bottom of it. They say that I'm the dumbest one in the family, you know. So why do I have to be somewhere where I'm at the bottom? Because one thing that I always did well in life, outside of home life, is that I always found a place where I could be a big fish in that small pond. Like ever since middle school, like I was always like a misfit. So I ended up hanging out with the misfit. In junior high, we hung out at the playground, which people called Lonerland. So only losers, only misfit, only loners goes there because all the cool kids hang out elsewhere. But that's where I found my core group of friends at the time. That's where I met my best friend, Andy, you know? And one cool thing was that I became the leader of those group. Like, it wasn't like voted upon or anything like that. It's just, I was always very creative. I was always like opinionated what we should do, what we should play. And people just listened to me. People just followed like my lead and my direction. And due to that, it probably developed a lot of my confidence and my social skills. And that core group of friends from junior high, we translated over to high school as well. And yeah, they just kind of took my lead on things, which was cool. So that's where I was able to kind of find my identity and find my purpose and just be that leader within that group. And I always did well and great with that. So why do I have to be in this big pond where I'm like a freaking guppy that's gonna get eaten by freaking sharks? I'm done playing that role. I want to be a big fish, even though that pond might be small. Even if that pond might be by myself, I want to be that big fish, you know? I'm okay with being alone. And that's always something that I told myself, or like I learned throughout life, is that it's better to be alone than with bad company, right? And I'm okay with being alone, you know? Ever since that, like in school, when we read the book Into the Wild, I knew it was different. It was a life that seemed so cool, so simplistic, and I guess that's low, kind of like low key the life I'm living now with van life, right? Is that I'm living differently. I'm living a life where people think it's weird. They think that, like, I'm freaking homeless and things like that. And I don't care. They can think whatever they want. As long as I continue to stay true to myself and learn to be happy with myself. That's truly what matters at the end of the day. And I have faith and confidence that if I just keep living like how I am now, I will find my tribe. I will find my community. I will find my people. And that confidence or thought in my mind is what helps me protrude forward, which is why I want to create content, because the world is big. There's so many people out there. So why do I have to keep trying to find people within this Southern California bubble when there's a big, massive world out there who might think exactly like I do, who shares like similar philosophies and mindset, and which is one of my biggest motivation reason why I'm creating this content, is to find my tribe, find my people, find my community. And one of my biggest goal as well too is to create positive content to help others like me get out of their own mental prison, their own limitations and things like that. I just want to help. I just want to do good. But first, I got to help myself first. I got to do good for myself first. And then from there, the sky's the limit. And that's something that I discovered when I was 25, when I was working in facilities as a QIDP, which is pretty much like an administrator, case manager role within the home, is that I started noticing, detecting, and feeling that I'm a lot like the participants that I was serving and helping within the homes. And that's when I went out to seek a informal diagnosis for autism. And after my second session with the psychologist, she's like, "Hey, you're definitely autistic." The first session, she didn't really believe me. So I'm like, "Hey, can I come in, bring my journal, and read out a few things?" And then, like, when I opened my journal, I just started reading out the scripts that I would write to myself in order to be able to converse with people at the gym. It will be a slow progression, such as, "Hi, how are you? How many more sets do you still have on this machine?" And then it'll be, "Hi, how are you? How many sets do you still have on the machine? Hi, my name is Matt, by the way." And then just slowly grow and build from there, you know? And it was because of that little journal insert and the script that I made that she gave me the informal diagnosis of that, yeah, I'm totally freaking autistic, which I suspect and knew. And receiving that informal diagnosis just gave me, it was a big relief to myself. It just gave explanation as to why I think the way I do, why I function the way I do, why I'm so different, why I'm so quirky, why I'm so weird, you know? And the strangest part too is that before I even received that diagnosis, she actually diagnosed me first with depression. which I was like, huh? I'm not depressed. Because at the time I was starting bodybuilding, had a stable job, I was dating and feeling like I was making a connection with the world. So I'm like, I'm not depressed. Until time went by, I realized that I've been living with like moderate to severe depression. It's just I was highly functional depression or whatever they call it, you know? And just past couple months as well, you know, I started finding videos about ADHD, which is like autism and ADHD combined, which is the reason why I knew I had like ADHD as well, because I was always the kid in the classroom who would just space out and daydream, you know? But I'm not like the hyperactive, the hyperactive, bouncy one off the chair. I was just dissociate and just zone out. A lot of time I was sleep in classrooms and things like that. But for some reason, teachers allowed me to. I guess I was pretty slick with it. I guess I would be able to put my head down, look like I'm reading a book, but I was actually zonked out. I remember like sophomore year, or was it junior year in high school? I probably slept more in school than I did at home. You know, so that's the thing with me. It's like I just always learned how the system worked, and I just knew how to just do just enough to get by. You know, so I guess that's the reason why people thought I was normal when I'm not neurodivergent. You know, I'm neurotypical. And that's something that I actually love about myself. It's just how my brain works and how it functions. And that's something I would never change, you know? And for the longest time, I seeked to get Adderall because when I tried in the past, and then like those would be the time where I felt like normal per se, where my brain just worked normally, like all my neurons just clicked. I didn't really have like I didn't doubt myself. Like what I wanted to do, I got done. And locally I'm grateful that even though like I tried to go through the hurdles of psychiatrists and all that, like they never gave me those pills because I probably would have became dependent on those pills. You know what I mean? So it's actually a blessing in disguise that American like mental health system is so janked that I didn't end up getting the pills. Because the way I like to think about it is that it forced me to play life on hard mode. And because of that, I was able to learn and develop much more different skills instead of just taking this magical pill to make me feel normal and everything, and all of a sudden everything will be okay. Because if I did do all that, then I'll just continue living life as high functioning depression, you know? Because like I would continue feeling like, oh yeah, I'm making all this achievement, all this greatness in life, you know, all these milestones that normal people meet. But deep down, behind the scenes, I would have never solved my depression. So I'm grateful for the things that happened to me and for not getting those magical pills and all that. Because for once in my life, I feel like I'm finally facing my depression face to face. And I would say I'm slowly learning to win over it instead of letting it conquer me.